Juni here from K21 Academy, and I welcome you all to this live session where we are going to analyze Olympic data by building a Power BI dashboard. Alright guys, so without any further ado, let me quickly walk you through today's agenda. We'll start this session by understanding why we need to visualize and the tools that go along with it. Moving ahead, we shall take a look into one of the popular visualization tool, that is Power BI, and its implementation in the industry. Finally, we'll end this session by building a Power BI dashboard and analyze the Olympic dataset. Guys, before we begin, please do consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated on trending technologies. And also, if you have any further queries, please do mention them in the comment box below. Alright guys, so let us now start off by understanding what exactly is data visualization. Okay, so but before we go ahead to understand what is visualization, right, let's see why do we need to visualize things. Well, you see, data visualization gives us a clear idea of the information by means of visual context. So what I'm trying to say here is that visualization makes the data more natural for human beings to comprehend, and therefore makes it easier to identify trends, patterns, and outliers with a large data set. So now you might be wondering, what exactly is data visualization, right? Well, data visualization refers to transforming figures and raw data into visual objects. And this can be nothing but point chart, plots, maps, and various other stuff. This is usually done by combining user-friendly and aesthetically pleasing features. These visualizations make research and data analytics much quicker and also powerful to communicate. Now you guys might be wondering, is this, the data visualization a complicated stuff? Well, you see, data visualization doesn't have to be complicated, and it's not expensive as well. Coding definitely gives you more option to create and customize the graphical user interface. But lately there have been many ready to use visualization tools with which we can provide good option when it comes to instant data visualization. Okay, so speaking about tools, right, now you might be wondering, do we have one or two tools in the industry to visualize the data? Well, guess what? We don't have just one or two. We have a number of tools with multiple different companies, competing to be the number one. So here are some of the top visualization tools which I feel are trending in the market. First off, before I tell you about the various tools, couple of things that I would like you to keep in mind, right? So visualization, one we can do by hard coding the values. And if you're someone who is passionate to code and you're looking for visualization techniques like say using Python or R, then the couple of options that you have is Plotly, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and many more. And if you're someone who is who is into business analytics and doesn't want to go or deal much with the code, right, so you have ready to made or ready to visualize tools such as Power BI, Tableau, Microsoft Excel, Zoho Analytics, and IBM's analytic tools. So these are some of the most popular tools that are trending in the market, and learning any one of these can literally give you a chance to work in a hi-fi company. All right guys, so now that we know what exactly is visualization and the tools that we use, let's now go ahead and understand one of the popular visualization tools, that is Power BI. So well, you see, right, Power BI is a Microsoft Business Analytics service. It provides interactive visualization and business intelligence capabilities with the interface that Microsoft say it's simple enough for end user to create reports and the dashboards. So dashboards over here are nothing but drag and drop templates that you can use, and then all you need to do is provide the values. And the best part about using Power BI is that if I have, let's say, 10 dashboards over here, or the 10 cards that I've used, and all of them are related to each other. Okay, and this is something which you'll understand once I move down to the demo part. When we have multiple tools, right, let's say, as I mentioned earlier, we have Google Analytics, we have Microsoft Excel, and we also have Tableau. Now you might be wondering, why should I choose Power BI, right? Here are top couple of reasons why you should consider using Power BI. So starting off with, it provides you with interactive Power BI desktop. As I mentioned earlier, with Power BI, it's something like you creating a PPT. All right. So when you try to create a, PowerPoint, right, or PowerPoint presentation, all you need to do is, drag and drop your images or drag and drop various other cards that you have. So creating or visualizations, right, or creating a visualizations in Power BI as simple as that. You don't have to write any hard code, or there's nothing like too complicated that, it would require a pretty heavy person to do it. Well, on contrary to that, Power BI desktop is so simple that, with just a practice of 1 or 2 days, you would be able to, create amazing features or amazing visualizations. Moving on to the next one, we have, customized visualization. So what this means is Power BI provides us with a lot of visualization techniques. Let's say, different types of charts, different types of maps, different types of matrices. And, with this, we can not just create one or, just a relationship in one manner, we can create relationship in multiple dimensions. Okay, so moving on to the visibility. So what happens over here is that, with a lot of data which is there, let's say, if we are dealing with a small amount of data which has, 10 rows and 100 columns or something, it's pretty easier to understand, right? It won't take, rocket science to understand such a small data set. But what would you do if you have trillions of GB of data, or, lakhs and lakhs of records and lakhs of columns? It would be pretty hard for us to literally visualize stuff, what is happening, and to perform relationships. But with Power BI, we have multiple filters, and using these filters, we can just create or customize our visuals to what we require. Then moving on to robust security. As we all know, Power BI is funded by Microsoft, right? It's one of the products by Microsoft. So obviously, Microsoft is heavily investing on their cybersecurity and all that. Now, coming down to why you should have security for your visualization tool. As I mentioned earlier, Power BI, which stands for Power Business Intelligence, right? So now what happens is, let's say you're someone who's trying to pitch an idea to an industry or to an investor. You obviously don't want someone else to rob your idea, or to steal your idea or something. So this is where Power BI provides you with high security and the features that you can keep your data safe. As I mentioned earlier, with Power BI, all we need to do is drag and drop the cards just so that we can create nice visuals on our desktop. And these visuals are interlinked to each other without us trying to code or manually doing any effort. Next feature that we have is organized and accessible data. So what this means is that as Power BI, right, we have Azure Cloud Services. All we have to do is just give a person a login credentials, and no matter where your teammates are, they can easily access the charts or visuals what you have created. So these are some of the reasons why you should consider learning, or why you should consider using Power BI in the industry or in the day-to-day act. All right, so now that we know what is Power BI and where it is or why you should use it, now I'm pretty sure you might be curious about how it is being used in the industry. So let's do one thing here. Let me now quickly take up an example of how Power BI can be used in a manufacturing industry. Okay, so as we all know, right, at the higher level, Power BI can help you with visualizing your business data, then monitor the performance, and make overall business decisions easier for you guys. And this is where the advantage of Power BI is its dashboard, where you can significantly share the data or the real-time data with the third-party systems. So where exactly can this be used in the real-time industry, right? So first off, it can automate, the reports that is happening. Let's say there is a conveyor belt, or let's say if there is an issue with some supply chain, it will automatically create a report on the supply and demand of it and how you can cope up with that. Then we have predictive analysis as well. So predictive analysis, let's say, a product has been launched, and now obviously we have to know, or we have to be prepared in advance, right? Like with the supply chain, and then, the products getting delivered from the source to the customer. All of these are pretty important stuff for a business to run successfully. So this is where Power BI is used again. We can create models with which we can predict or forecast what amount of supply chain or what amount of infrastructure changes has to be done in order to meet the demands. So now what are the benefits that Power BI can done, right? So what we have discussed now, automating the reports or predictive analysis is something that the industries are using this for. But what are its benefits? First off, as I mentioned earlier, we have inventory management. So what this means is the supply chain, to meet up the increase in demand, we have to increase the supply chain. Supply chain basically over here means that from the wholesaler, you try to bring it to your industry or the manufacturing unit, and then you assemble it, and then there is this cargo structure which goes, and then finally it comes down to the store where people can buy. So it's important for inventory management, as everything is a cycle and everything has to run properly. Then we have quality assurance. As we all know, we have various things like Six Sigma and all that, which is kind of important for maintaining the quality, because if you have seen, right, successful industries make sure that the quality has not been compromised. And finally, the most important thing is the financial management. So it is important for the companies to know if the product is performing well, whatever the research and development that they have invested on their product, are they able to cope up with the sales? Are they able to get back what they have invested on, and whether they can forecast whether that particular product is good for the company in the future or not. So this is how Power BI can be used in the industry. Okay, so now that you know what is Power BI, why do we use Power BI, and how Power BI can be used in the industry, right? And we also learned a bit about data visualization. Let me now quickly jump to my Power BI and show you how we can analyze the Olympic data set, how we can create the very basic or very simple data visualization using Power BI. All right, guys. So here, as you can see, we are here at the Power BI dashboard. Okay. So first off, let me quickly give you a walkthrough about what's gonna happen over here. Okay. What are the various things that we can do? So here we have like, get data. We can get your data from various sources like SQL Server. Or it can be Excel work notebook, Power BI data sets. These are the pre-built data sets that we have, and then blank query. You can also scrape it, or it can be text or CSV file. And then we have Excel workbook, Power. This is the same thing over here, what we have, right? And then, you can add up some new visuals over here. Then we have a text box over here. This is similar to what you would do. So if I say text box here, I can add up something, hello. And then I can also perform some changes over here. Let's say I want it to be Arial. Let's increase the size, bold, and we want it to be in center line. Okay, so as you can see, we can add this text box, and we also have this more visuals. Okay, so you can either get it from outside and you can get it done, or you can just view through the app store here. So this is one thing. So let me quickly delete this. In order to delete it, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is tap on that and hit delete. Okay, this looks great. You can also use this to add up a new page. Then we have new visuals, more visuals. We can add some trees. Let's say you want to add an image, so we can add an image over here. Then we have text box and shapes, which is kind of similar. Then we have next thing is modeling. Here you can do some relationship, like let's say you have columns, right? So you want to perform the relationship between two columns. You can basically create a small model. Like this is usually helpful when you're trying to do predictive analysis, new measures, new parameters. You want to add new features to your existing Excel sheet. Then you have languages and all that. Finally, we're coming down to the view. This basically gives me the aesthetics of what is happening here. We have various themes here. Let's say, let me take this for now. Okay, we have this, looks like this is pretty dark, right? So let me go with something pretty subtle. So yeah, you can choose whichever is your favorite ones over here. Let's take something simple for now. Okay, and then we have this page view. We can take like fit to the page, fit to the window. This would actually fit the entire thing to the window. Then you have the actual size. All right, and you can also if right, Power BI is also available on cell phone as well as on your tablets. So you can get this into a mobile layout as well. Okay, so this is it. Now what we'll do is, first off, we gonna import our data set. So I have this Excel file which says basically yeah, so I have this Excel file which I've already uploaded. Okay, and this basically gives me the 120 years of Olympic history. Okay, so give it a second. This is connecting to the server and it will take quite some time to load the data. So let's give it some time. All right, guys. So meanwhile, our data is getting uploaded there. Let me quickly come back over here to our Microsoft Excel, and let me show you what exactly is happening here and how are we gonna analyze our data. Okay. So first off, the very first thing that you can see here is we have ID, the name. Okay, so these are the names of the players that took part in the Olympics. And if you can see, right, ID is pretty unique to the name. Okay, so let's say if the name is being repeated multiple times, the ID doesn't change for that person. Okay, so that is first thing. And we have n number of records. So when you're talking about Excel sheets and all, right, so records over here basically means the rows. Okay, so this row, or you can say this record, belongs to so and so category. Okay, and then when you're coming down to the data science community, or whatever your domain you're working on, the column here represents the features. So what do you mean by features, you may ask? Well, features are basically the attribute that represent this. Like let's say if there is a name and this name is having a feature who is a male, right? So the sex of this person is male, and he has a feature called as age so and so, and other values that represent this particular value over here. So what are we going to do here, right? So we have a lot of missing data. The NA over here represents the missing data. And how are we going to, analyze our data over here? Well, it's pretty simple. What I'm going to do here is the ID. I'm going to use ID in order for me to count the number, right? So let's say out of US, right? So how many people have worked? How many people have one gold medal or something. So what I would do is, with respect to US, I would count the number of unique IDs. So whatever value I get, that too with respect to, let's say, what medal they have won, right? So we can, if I scroll over here a bit, you will see the medal that they have won. So sometimes some places we have NA, which if I'm gonna, the value of NA, as I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna use the filters, which you're gonna see later in the session, and whichever value is present, I'm gonna use only those values. And based on multiple values, right, like by correlating the medal, the city, and the ID, I would come up with, let's say, how many people have won a gold medal or bronze medal from US. And apart from that, there are certain features that I would use to filter out stuff. So what do I mean by this? We all know that Olympic takes place in 2 seasons, right? One is a winter season and the other one is summer. And then what I like, let me give you a scenario. Let's say I want to determine the number of women who won gold medal from US. So number of women, for that, my sex over here would be female, okay? And then I'm gonna have a filter where I'm gonna choose a country to be US. And then I would also have a season, right? So the season is gonna be, let's say, winter or summer. As if I'm looking for winter, it's gonna be this. And I'm gonna count the number of medals. So over here, the medal would be my output features. So whichever parameter represents this bronze or gold or silver, I'm gonna count only that particular value and gonna have that. All right, so this is one of the way. And apart from that, what I'm going to do is, I can create a statistics or a bar plot. Let's say I want to understand how many people, like the average age of people with respect to the, the country. Like we have a number of countries that take part in the Olympics, right? So let's say I want to understand, the average age of men and women. You can change based on the filter, whether you want only for the men or only for the female. And what you can do is you can have a bar plot wherein it says, let's say, the average age of people participating from the United States is so and so, from Netherlands would be one particular age. And we can also similarly do it with respect to height and weight. You may ask, what can I do with, what can I do with this kind of data? Well, let me give you a scenario. Let's say you're a sports company and you're trying to, create, you have a product and you're trying to, advertise that. We all know that if you have to reach out to people, so based on different age group, you have to reach to them in different manner, right? So you can basically analyze this data and understand, what can you do to achieve, your certain market or your certain goals. So this is one example that you can achieve here. So this is how you can analyze your data, and this is how our data is being present in our Excel file. So let me now move back to my Power BI desktop and let's see if our data has been uploaded or not. So once I'm done with that, I would get this option. Which one do I want to choose? I'll choose this athlete table. And before I move on to visualizing here, let me quickly see what we have present over here, right? So let me see. First off, we have this ID. Looks like ID is kind of proportional to the name over here, which is basically like if a person has the same name, then the ID remains the same. So ID is unique to a person. Then we have sex over here, which basically tells the gender. And then moving on, then we have age, then we have height over here, and then the weight. The team basically, let's say it refers to the country, right? So it's United States, Netherlands, China. We also have this NOC. Looks like this means that it's a country code. Okay, then finally we have the game which was played on summer or winter. As we all know, Olympic takes place both on summer and winter. That's basically the season, which you can see here. Then there's the year, which is pretty important. Which city did the Olympics take place? The name of the sports which a player is related to. And let's also see some more others. Then we have this event, which was the the game that they were playing. And finally, did this player win a medal at this particular time, right? So did this participant win a medal in this particular game or whatever you say, right? So this is how it works. Now we have selected this. I would just load my data. So click on load. This is as simple as that. Any layman can do this. You don't need a rocket science to understand what's happening here. As the data set is pretty huge, it's taking quite some time to load this. So give it some time and let's see what happens once this is done. All right, guys. So as you can see here, we have successfully loaded our data. So if you want to see where we have loaded our data, you can see, right? This is the part where we have loaded the data. So these are the various fields which we, if you remember, right, we saw in that Excel sheet. We have agenda, city, event, games, and everything else here. All right, so now what we're going to do is, first off, as I mentioned earlier, this basically is the data set of an Olympics. So let's try to, utilize as much as possible over here. So over here, I want to add an image of an Olympics data, right? So for this, let me quickly jump to my drive and show you, what are the images that I can upload. So let me see what images I have. Okay, so let me select this and let me paste it over here. Okay, so this is how it looks once I imported my data. So first off, obviously don't want this thing to be this big. Okay, once I have added this, I can change the aesthetics of this by clicking on formatting image or format image. Okay, first off, we have this general, which basically means the position. So if I change this to this place, you will see the position changes over here. And fine, this looks great. Then we have title. We don't need that. We don't need the background. I will have a border over here. And let's kind of add, what is the radius that you want for the border. So you can add a radius to the border. So as you can see, it gives us this. Okay, and let's say just to make it look good, let's also add some shadow. Anything nice that would fit. Okay, this looks great, and this is totally up to you. You don't have to be like you have to follow this so and so hard and fast rule. Basically, your main agenda over here should be like basically trying to please the end user, or end user in this case is going to be the let's say you're trying to pitch an idea to your boss or to an investor, so it should be aesthetically pleasing for them. Okay, so let's say I have added this over here, and let me increase this. Now if you feel like this is pretty big or you want to change the size, all you can do is come down here to modeling or view and go for page view and have fit to the page. So now it's perfectly fine over here. I don't have to worry about how big or small my image is. Okay, so let me get done with this. Okay, so this is first thing. I have added my image, and there is nothing much over here to do with the image, right, apart from adding some shadows and borders. All right, so now what we'll do is we have this data set. Now our main agenda is to visualize the data set. Okay, so to do that, let's see what we can do at first. All right, so first things first, as I mentioned, I want to select the let's say a city or a name of a player or the year, right? So what I'm going to do is, to do that, I have this slicer. With slicer, basically it would give me a drop down menu and I can choose any one of those. So let me click on slicer. Okay, so I'll be provided with this card over here. Now for this card, what I'm going to do is, as you can see here, right on the right corner, it will ask me for a field, right? So let's say I want a country to be added, and if you remember it, country basically is present in this team column, right? So I added country over here. So let's now see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, we have a lot of values present over here. Okay, these are basically the name of the countries that we have. Okay, I don't want to add up this way, right? So what I'll do is I want to do some changes. So in order for you to change some aesthetics, you can come down to this format. Then we'll do some changes accordingly here. Okay, first off, outline, let's change the outline. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll go for selection control. We'll take only single select. Okay, I just want a single select. And then we have slice header. I'm going to tell you what this exactly is in a while. Let's change some background color. I don't want this white, so let's give it a blue theme, right? Because we have taken blue, so let's give it a blue theme here. This is for this. Now I don't want that. I will change this color here. Font color is going to be black. We don't need the outline. We'll add a title in a while. Then we can have a background. So for background, I'm going to have blue theme. Okay, this is pretty dark. We'll change that in a while. Okay, now coming down to our items. Fine, I want my items to be, let's say, in white in color. Okay, and if I somehow see here, now you get two options here. Either it's a list or a drop down. So I would go with a drop down. Okay, and this space, I'm going to add this over here. And let's now see what happens, right? So we have blank and we have various other options. So let me quickly fix that as well. And now if I have a drop down here, so you can see I have various other options, right? So this is one thing that I can do. And let me also see what changes I can do here. So for the team, I want to change the headline, right? So heading. So I'll turn off the slicer header. Instead of slicer header, I'll turn on the title, right? And now what title I would give is country name, or let's say select the country. Okay, and the font color, let's take something like white. Okay, and I basically want this to be center aligned, and let's also increase the text size. Okay, so this looks great here. So this is a drop down menu. This drop down menu obviously doesn't look aesthetically that good, so we'll do some change for this. Let me come down. Then we have this. Okay, come down to items, and I want to change this background color. Let's say something to white. Okay, and the text that I'm gonna change over here will be black, and this is how this would work. Okay, this for the blank, and then you have various other parameters of the countries that you would like to choose. All right, so we are done with one. We are done with one card. Similarly, what I'm going to do is I want similar thing to be done for the year, right? So again, I'm going to take up the card. Okay, and let me double tap here, and here I'm supposed to add the field. For this, I'm going to add a year. Okay, so now as you can see, I have this drop down. Okay, so let's do some, I want the same formatting to be done over here. So rather than, going through all of this, what I can do is click on this format printer. Okay, so you have this option here, and if I just paste it here, so you will see that, my tab over here remains the same. Let's try to do some aesthetic changes here. Let me go with general. Okay, everything looks good with general part over here. Then we have slicer header. I don't want the slicer header. Instead, I would be using a title. Then we have numeric inputs. Let's give it as white color, and background would be the same. Okay, let's increase the text size because it's pretty small. And you can also change this. It's totally up to you. And finally, now coming down to title, we are supposed to give the title. Let's give it as year. Okay, and I'm happy with the font color. Background is also fine. The text size is also fine. The reason why everything is similar to this is because we copied this formatting over here. Okay, this looks great. Let's also add some border and some fun nice effect I can give this as well. So if I want to copy this, I will just add this over here to this part as well. Okay, so let's also add a border and the shadow for this. So I have added a border and a shadow. Looks great, right? So now let's try to align this up over here. Let's try to fix this as well, and this one too. So as you can see, right, this was pretty simple. It actually took no effort, right? And this can be done even by the layman, right? Because it doesn't involve much of a rocket science to understand what's happening here. All right, guys. So now what we'll do is in the next stage, let's try to work with the numbers and as well as this insert over here. So what we'll do, let me take up a shape. Let me quickly choose any one random shape. Let's say something like we have, let's take this up, right? So let me add up a hexagon here. So what this would do is we'll have 3 of these, and basically one would represent for, let's say if it's a Berlin, right? So let's say I choose one country over here. Okay, and in one particular year, how many gold medals did they win, how many bronze, and how many silver? So we'll try doing this. So in order for you to add this, what we are going to do is we are going to have some visuals. For this, we will be taking this count, right? So this one, the card, and I will just drop this on top of this over here. Okay, and now for this field, like as we all know that we're supposed to add field for this, right? So this is over here. I'm going to add medals to this part. Okay, this is giving me NA. This is the reason is because we are having this. So let's try to ignore this for now. So what I'm going to do, you'll have a drop down here and then you can just go down for count. So this would basically give me the number. Okay. So if you want to see, some nice number here, let me quickly go down to United States or something. Okay, so let me have a click on this once. Okay, so this is giving me the number of medals, right? So what I'm going to do, first off, let me come down here. Let me give, let's see what position is fine. This shape, even this is totally fine with me. Okay, let's see what else can we do here. Yeah, we'll add a title here, or let's see if we can add a title for this. Okay, let me add a title here. That shouldn't be an issue. Let's say gold. All right, and this title can be present here, or we can also add it to this part. Let's not add title now. Okay, I'll show you how we can add title in a while. This should be fine. This is, let's add a border. This. Okay, and we also have this background color. So we'll have this background and the color, let's take the same color. So let's not mess with the color. Okay, so instead of giving the same color, we'll do one thing. Let's say I have this, and let's go for more colors, and let's add gold, right? So because it's for the gold medal, so let's add the gold color. Okay, so this is for the background. We don't need this. We need it for the shape, right? So shape, we'll add a color here, and let's go here with gold. We added this count of medal. So first off, I'm gonna rename this. I'm gonna rename this to gold. Okay. So as you can see, the value here will change to gold now. We'll do some formatting. First off, let's go down to, background. Background would be just transparent. I don't want that. Okay. And title is fine, I guess. Title shouldn't be an issue. Okay. I'm fine with the title. And let's see anything else that we have. I think this should be it. But what we can do is I can add some more filter to this part here. So as you can see, first off, filter on this page, I'm going to add medal. And I don't want the values which are missing, and unselect this NA part here. All right, so this is done, and I want the numbers as well, right? So I'll take, drag and drop this over here. Okay, and here I'm going to select only for the gold value. This looks great, and let me quickly close this up, and let me add this over here on top of this. Okay, so what basically this thing says is, throughout this year, right, from 1896 to 2016, United States has won, 2,476 gold medal. Similarly, we are going to do this for silver and bronze. So let me use the size for this. Okay, but before that, in order to perform this, right, in order to do this for the silver and bronze, it's going to be the same steps. So I won't be doing this again and again. So let me just copy this and paste it over here. Okay, everything remains the same. I'm going to add this card here. Okay, now first off, I'm going to change this color. So for this, we have image shape. All you need to do is the fill part, and we'll give a silverish color. So this, you can consider this thing to be silver color, and even the shape glow, if you want, you can keep it. It's totally up to you, but let me give a bit, grayish color here, something that represents silver. And now we need the count card. So just copy this again. All you need to do the change over here is get down to the filters. Okay, instead of gold here it's gonna be silver. So let me uncheck this, and it's gonna be silver. And one more thing that I'm gonna change is, it's gold here. So for that, come down to visualization. Okay, this part, and then just rename this to silver. Okay, this looks great. And finally, coming down to the last one, here we have the bronze. Okay, so filling this is pretty simple. Get down here. Let's take a color that represents bronze. This should be somewhere here, somewhere like this. Okay, and similarly, we're going to change the shadow or the shape glue. This is totally up to you. If you want to add, you can add this, or it's totally your choice. And finally, we need to have the count. So let me copy the count and add it over here. Okay, so this first off, let's try changing this. Let me come down here. Okay, so now I've clicked this. Now this is set for silver. I don't want for the silver, I want it for the bronze. Okay, this is first off, this is done. Second thing, I have to change the name. So it's gonna be, rename this visual to bronze. Okay, this looks great. And I also want the values over here to change, right? So I mean to say the color, right? Okay, so as you can see, our data label is visible now, and we'll also change that other part. Okay, and before that, let's also fix this. For instead of gold, this is going to be silver. Let me rename this. All right, and this is done. Okay, so the name hasn't been changed. Let's quickly get it done again. So this is going to be silver. Okay, so as you can see now, the value has changed. Let's see what we have done. Okay, so first off, we have 3 cards here, that is gold, silver, and bronze. Okay, and basically this is telling me United States has won how many silver, gold, and bronze medals throughout the ages. Now let's see how many India has won. Like if you want me to scroll down to India. Okay, so we have India here, and we'll get to know how many medals India has won. Okay, so so far we have won 138 gold medals and 19 silver and the bronze. If I change this value over here, the value here automatically changes. So as you can see, right, so 1 gold, 4 silver, and 9 bronze. And if there is no values, it would just show nil. So let's say I get it over here. So as you can see here, now we have not won any gold medal in the year 2014. So this is why it's saying blank. Okay, so this is how we can visualize our data here. Let's add some more let's add some more qualities or some more features over here. All right, guys, so let's do one more thing. Let's try to add a couple more visuals here. So if you remember, we have taken this up, right? So let's take the same one. So it's over here, slicer, and let's take 2 in fact. Okay, so I don't have to come down here again. So what I'm going to do, first off, if you want to copy this, you can copy and paste it. And now in the first page, or the first thing over here, we are going to select the sex. Okay, whether the person is a male or a female. So for this, I have this part here. I'll drag it in. Okay, and then we are going to give the name here. Okay, we'll change the name later. Okay, and now we can change this drop down. Here either you can tick it up, or other one is drop down, right? So you can have either male or a female. All right, so this is the first thing. And then now once I come down to this part here, I want the formatting, right? So formatting, to change the formatting, let me copy this format and add it here. Okay. And let's try to come down here. Do I need a slicer header? No, I would rather go with title. Okay, so title here, let's say sex, which basically means, if you're a male or a female. So we're gonna add that up here. And then let's see what else we have. We can increase this font size here. Okay, we have the background, we have the border, shadow, everything is there. Let's see if we can add up a couple more things. Okay, so this is it. And then we can also, we can have the other way around here. Okay, so let me just close this and add one more. Okay, and here, if you know, right, Olympics take place in 2 seasons. It's going to be either winter or summer. So let me add this to this part here. So we get this 2 option, right? So I want this drop down here. Okay, and here we can select whether it's summer or winter. The reason why we are getting just summer is because, because the filters have been activated here. Okay, so let's say if I choose on male over here, so you'll see, we can have summer or winter. So, no matter what, every card over here is interlinked with the other ones. Fine. So let me, if I have to format this, if I don't want to go back and format it again. So only thing that I'm going to change is the season. So for this, let me go down to title and add season over here. Okay, this looks great. The other way that you can edit this is by coming down to this part. So what happens with this is you're given the entire this part here. Basically this is like expanding this thing, and you can just it's easier for us to visualize what is happening here. You can have summer, winter, and if you want to add a couple more filters, it's easier for us to do it from here. All right, guys, so we are almost done here. Okay, so now what we'll do is let's go with some complicated stuff. Okay, so these are basically very simple of what we have done. So now moving on, let's try to work with the other charts. Let's say something like the tree map, right? So tree map is pretty interesting one. So let me quickly get that here. So what we'll do now with the tree map is, okay, I by mistake deleted this. Okay, so now what we're going to do with the tree map. Okay, so what has happened here is I have deleted the seasons here. Let me quickly fix this up for you guys, or I can do this later as well. Okay, so we'll do this at the end. So let me remove this for now. Okay, and let me add up this visualization over here called as tree map. Okay, so what we're going to do with tree map is I want to see top 5 countries and the players that have won, right? So for this, I'm going to group with their country. So for the country, if you remember, it was the medal, okay, or the team, and the value that I'm going to have is the number of medals. So that is medal, and then we'll have the count parameter. Okay, so obviously the top 5, right? So it says United States is the highest, and then it goes down all the way over here. So we're going to do some filtering here. Okay, so let me select this. Let's do some filtering. So if I come down here to this part, okay, and if you somewhere down you will see here that we want advanced filtering, okay, or the top n. So I just want top 5, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add 5 here first thing, and then I'm going to take medal column and then add medal here. Okay, and then we're going to have count. All right, and then hit filter. So now you'll see the top 5 countries which have won the medals. Okay, but still this is not perfect yet. So I want to do some beautification part here. So first off, you can change this field. Let me select this. Let me rename this here. Okay, and then I'm going to rename this here as well. Okay, so this is basically trying to tell me the top country versus the middle, and I want to do some aesthetic changes here. So let's say we have, if we come down here, we'll get some options. So we have this data colors, you can come down to advanced colors. Okay, for something which is the highest, right, I'm going to give it as, let's say, blue. And if the value is somewhere in the middle, it would be yellow, and the least value would be red. Okay, so for this, let's say the lowest value, let's give it as blue, right? So this is fine. If we have the middle value, we'll give it as yellow. Okay, this looks great. And then finally, for the highest value, I'm going to give it as red. All right, and let's hit enter here. And let's see the changes. So as you can see here, the value changes all the way from the highest to the lowest. Okay, so this is done with the data colors. I have added the title. Okay, the title is totally fine. Let's try to increase this and have an alignment at the center. And the background, I want to change the background to something what we have, something uniform. Okay, this is the background for the title. So what I'm going to do is, for the format, let me just copy this format printer and add it over here. Okay, so as you can see, we are successfully done with this. Okay, let's try changing some values. Let me come down here to data colors. Oh, sorry, this is not data. Yeah, we have data colors here. Let's go for the advanced option. Okay, and instead of blue, let's say the green. Okay, if the green is there, it means it's the lowest. And then let's take a bit red, about a deeper red, and this should be fine. All right, so this is it about number of medals that people are getting. And if I change, right, so let's say if it is for female, then we have the value changes. If I select all, okay, the value here changes. And at the same time, if I change the dates over here, the value changes here significantly. Okay, and let's say if I increase it from start to bottom, so you'll see United States, Soviet Union, Germany, and all that. Okay, so the France was the least value. And let's try putting this in a proper shape. Okay, let me align this. These are basically used for the aesthetic purpose, so you don't have to worry about how your value is being displayed. Basically, this is important when you're trying to pitch in this idea to, let's say, to an investor or something. So basically here we are trying to create a report. Okay, so let me add this here. And similarly, I'm going to do with the other one. Let me decrease the size, add this, also add this, and this should be it. Okay, so this looks great. Let me decrease the size a bit. And I'm going to add this over here. Okay, so this is a bit about top countries versus the middle. So if I say I don't want just one, let me just take some Brazil or something. Okay, Brazil has not won any, so or the data might be missing here. Okay, let's take Germany, right? So this is Germany. Okay, this we have basically selected two, right? So first of Germany versus this, so we have selected two here. So let me remove this. All right. This means that our data is missing. That's why it's blank. So we can work on with the missing data. It's pretty simple. All we need to do is go for modeling, and we have that. We can have China here. We can see how many medals China might have won. But the best thing that I'm going to do here now is let me select all. Okay, so this is it. Let's do one more thing. Let's also see how we can work with the matrix over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do with the matrix part is, uh, for the number of players, right? Let's say for a player, like let's say for a sport, how many medals has that player won? Okay, or how many medals did that country win? The number of medals. So let me quickly show you how we can do that. Okay, guys. So now what we'll do is, so far we have worked with this cards, we have worked with numbers, we have worked with the tree graph over here. So now what we'll do, let's work with the matrix over here. Okay. So what I'm going to do now with the matrix is, let's see the number of the games that people have won and the sports player. Okay. So for this, first off, I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to add the file, the rows over here. Okay. The rows over here refers to this. So the rows I'm going to add is the sport. So the sports is going to be, let's say, cycling or gymnastic or whatever it is. So as you can see, we have various sports over here. And then the column over here is going to be the medal. Okay, that is what medal have they won? The bronze, silver, and all that. And the value, we all know that, if I take on the ID, right, it's unique for every player. So let me add ID here. Okay. And if I do this part, you will see here, it gives me for this so-and-so game, right, for this sport, the number of people who have won bronze is 9, gold is 16, and silver is 19 for this span of year. Okay. And let's say if I change this from let's say just one particular sex, that is female or male, you can see the values here changes out. Okay. And now let's see how we can improve this. So if I come down to this, let's go for style. You get various styles here. So I'm gonna go with, let's say, bold header. Okay, so as you can see, the value changed, or the aesthetics over here changed. Apart from that, let's say I want to have something like this, so the value here changed. So now let's quickly add a title or something. Okay, so if I come down to this, if I add up a title, let's say sports versus medal. All right, the font color looks great here. I'm gonna add this to a center alignment, and this should be fine. Okay, so this is one type over here what we have done. Let's try to add one more value, or let's try to add one more matrix here. So what this matrix would basically do is, let's say we have a couple of Olympic players, right? Like how many number of medals did that Olympic player win, right? So for this, the similar thing that's going to happen. First off, instead of, over here we had taken the sports, right? If I come down to the previous one, we have taken the sports. Now here, instead of sports, I'm going to take the name. So I have the name. So this would be my row. And then the column is going to be the medal. And then we'll have the ID, just so that I can have a count of it. So let me see where's the ID. And I'm going to drag and drop here. Okay. So as you can see, we have the various values. And the reason why I'm getting this is because just the gold is because I've selected this. So let me select all. The value changes here automatically. Okay. Now, apart from this, all right. So apart from this, okay, so this is the calculation that we can do, but we are going to ignore this for now. Apart from this, we also have to work on the aesthetics. So let me quickly give a style for this. Let's say we have something like bold header. Okay, and if you're wondering why am I getting this gold, that's because I've selected this here. Let me unselect this or change the value. Value changes here automatically. So let's ignore this for now. So yeah, this is done. So now let's try to change the style. Position is fine. Column headers are fine. Okay. Now only thing that I'm going to do now is have a title. So title over here would be player name versus the medal. Okay, let's try to give central alignment here. Let me increase this, and you can also change the family name. Let me give this way. Okay, so as you can see, we have different sports, we have different number of people who have won, and this would also give me, what who is coming. Like everything over here is interlinked. Okay, and this is pretty great. Now, finally, one last thing that we are going to do, one last visualization that I'm gonna use over here to add is the bar plot. Okay, so let's say I want a bar plot here. Okay, so let's see which bar plot I can take. So let me just take this one here, bar plot, stack column. All right. Okay, so what this has done is this has basically altered the previous one. Let me undo this. Let me select a matrix for this part here and undo the names as well. Okay, so the next thing that as I mentioned, I'm going to use this stack column. So here I'm going to add the data. So first off, for the axis, let me add up a country. So where is the country name here? So the country is going to be the teams. Okay, and then we have the values, right? So for the values, I'm going to go with medals, and I want the count value of medals, so it has automatically taken this up. So let me do some modifications for this. Okay, so as you can see here, we get this x-axis, y-axis, if you want to have these values or not. So first off, I'm going to reduce this. Let's say we have the zoom slider. Okay, we'll turn it on. Zoom slider is for like both up and down, and if you want to change the value, it's totally up to you. It's your choice. And then we have data colors. If you want to show the data colors, so let's see what we can give here. Okay, and then we have data label, so which we have turned off. Data label basically means the labeling for the data. Okay, there's some small change that I would do. Instead of for show all, I would just decrease this. Okay, because it's going to be uniform throughout. And finally, what we are going to do is let's see if there are any changes that I can do. Okay, border is something that we can add. We have added the title. Okay, so for the title, let's see. Let me center align this. Let me increase this value. Okay, so basically now we are done creating our desktop here. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's try to see and let's try to understand what is happening here. Okay, so first off, let's say I want to select one country. Let's take China for a moment. So where exactly is China? So we have China. Okay, and so far China has won just 308 gold medals, then 325 silver and 256 bronze. Okay, and these are the list of players that have won. Like we have various players here, they have won different medals, and these are the categories of the sports that they have won. Okay, and now let's say if I want only female, right? So if I want just the female, I can change the value over here to female, and you'll see automatically the value changes up. And let's say I don't want female, I want just the male part. Okay, so the values here automatically change to the male. Okay, so with my analysis here, I can see that more number of females have won medals in China during the Olympics than the male. All right, so now let's say let's try to analyze this for all. So if I click here, select all. Okay, so this would give me the list of people here, like the top countries. Like we have United States first, then the Russia, then France, Germany, and Italy. So the value here also tallies up, right? And then these are the list of players throughout the world or throughout the history of this from 1896 to 2016. and this is just for the male. So let me select it for both male and female. So here you will see that value changes here slightly. Okay, so this is how you can build some visualizations and pitch in your ideas, or you can perform various tasks using Power BI. And this was just the very basics of what can be achieved using Power BI. Alright guys, if you're someone who enjoys data visualization and wants to learn more about how to perform data visualization using Power BI, I'm sure this free class from K21 Academy would be of a great help. Here we'll be taking you all the way from the very basics to a good understanding of how to use Power BI and how to create the dashboard. And the link for this is going to be k21academy.com/DA10002. With this, we come to the end of a session. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Until next time, goodbye and thank you.